lover, sweetheart, be my nose, be my one and only nose. If you can imagine what it would be like to have one of your senses taken away and have the whole world, the way you see it, completely turned upside down, that's what the piece is about. Anosmia is about losing your sense of smell. I was the singer and the vocalist on the piece when we performed it and recorded it in San Francisco. And one of the experiences I had was that my voice was going through a microphone and sometimes altered by another performer, by the keyboard player. So it was coming out in different pitches and with all different kinds of effects on it. And I had most of the singing and the speaking, and I had two backup doo-wop girls named Maya and Carrie. And then there were several artists who were instrumentalists from the San Francisco Conservatory. And then we had a conductor who was very important in the preparation and keeping the whole piece together, because there were a lot of really intricate and complicated rhythmic and melodic, rhythmic and tempo changes. Traditional classical elements in the harmonies and some of the rhythms. It was really useful to have some conservatory training. And on the other hand, there was a lot of pop music style, jazz and American musical theater, and pop music and rock music. And I have some background in all of those actually, myself. I was a guitarist in high school, you know. So we got together several times with the conductor and the singers and just a keyboard for rehearsal. And then later we added the instruments. And the composer came in the last couple of days, which was essential because we needed the processing and the effects that he was going to be doing. But then, of course, we also had the great advantage of having him right there to ask questions that we might have had about the execution or about how he came up with certain ideas. Yeah, that's a good question. He had lost some of the hearing in one of his ears. And for a musician, that can be a pretty profound experience. But he had a neighbor who was also missing his sense of smell. And so that sort of struck the idea in him, I think. It was a fun music-making experience, especially with the conductor, who I really enjoyed her balance of being a captain and a collaborator. Because this was all experimental for each of us. We were learning it along the way, making small decisions that came together to be what the piece ultimately ended up as. There were so many students in the orchestra who were really talented and were free to ask questions and express their opinions. There were plenty of things to like on the first hearing, but with the advantage of having worked on it for as long as I did, that there were a lot of interesting details and structures to be found with more time. Even though I've only performed it once and we recorded it about 2 years ago, there are still parts of the piece that kind of run around in my head, because it was sincere, but it was also fun and even a little bit catchy. And I'm really glad I got to be a part of it.